I think it's pretty easy to cast. We are seeing Derek, I believe, mulling pretty low, maybe to a 5 or a 4 here.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, actually just mulling. I mean, I mentioned mulling into oblivion. I think this is kind of expected. Roxai can definitely operate on low cards, and there is so much pressure to have a plan that actually works against triple T and K. And there's just not many hands that do that. And I think, hopefully Derek has found one. Maybe theoretically you can get some time.
wait,
Don't present yourself as the threat, and you're
a
going to be okay. I
3,
believe a 3-card
a
hand is where we have
3,
settled. So
a 3
gotta
going
be a
forth.
heck of
Very
a 3.
brave.
No pregame
Yeah.
actions, and we are off to the races.
City of Brass, Mana Crypt, Wheel of Fortune. Let's go. All right. So, Underground Sea coming out of seat one. Thorn Garvin seat one.
Gotta have more than that. And
Mox
there's
time over
Mox.
dumping an Exotic Orchard and a Chrome Mox and imprinting a Savine's Wreck.
Sabine's
And this
underneath.
is probably a Timna turn one.
Yeah, turn one Tim. I would have loved to see like a Ranger captain though. I was hoping to see that with Sabine's making white. But Tim,
Yeah.
turn one, not bad. Especially if you have a
Timna on
commander
one.
spell to back it up.
Yeah. Timna on one, not bad. We take that. Go to Jorman's turn.
German's
Untap,
turn
upkeep,
one.
draw.
Pretty explosive turn one from Thorne.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite a 7. We're fetching into something and casting an Esper Sentinel.
Yeah.
I've seen this a few times this tournament. You play your land, you cast your Esper Sentinel, and then nobody behind you plays a non-creature spell for a turn. Uh, it's
I'm
it's
not sure
brutal,
you
but
actually care that much though,
yeah.
right? If
Oh,
you're
no, I
Evan,
mean, yeah,
just like whatever, you could have some cards. Seat one had
yeah,
an explosive draw. I would like you in seat two to do some amount of checking that player.
yeah.
And so actually feeding here, I don't hate it all. Even if you could pay, I'm not sure that I even would want to. I do kind of want to help Jorman a little bit if I'm seat three here. And
Yeah,
revealing an
that
Esper setting a Lotus Petal draw as well. Check it out. We kept the
nice.
exact same hand, and I love
Very
love
cool.
this setup from fist bump from the players. Wow. You'd expect
Beautiful.
hot, contentious leaderboard. No, they're just fist bumping. Yeah, yeah, we got
Just
it. We know
having
what's up.
fun. The
We know what
game's
this
fun,
matchup's
right?
about.
Like if you're not having fun, why are you playing?
Big facts. A lot of people could internalize that one.
Yeah.
A lot of people play Magic that do not have a good time with it. It is very perplexing. All right, Derek, you kept a 3-card hand.
Come on,
What do
Derek.
you
Let's see
got?
the gas. All right, a watery grave, or is that a more?
Untapped.
Yeah, untapped
Fish
watery grave.
time.
Be shocking. I assume it's Rogue Rack, and then yeah, fish. Wait, what is
Is that a
that?
fish?
Is that a?
Looks like a mana rock of some kind.
It does. Is it the?
Gonna look at Derek's deck. Check upside
Yeah,
down. Certainly not helping me here at all.
certainly not.
So a lot of players do actually
Uh,
play with the versions
oil.
that they have.
So
Paradise Mantle is the
Paradise
text box of that
Mantle.
card, and it will
Yep.
be equipped. That
Yeah.
is secret layer, little Paradise Mantle. As we go back to Thorne, so setting up 2 mana, turn one.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat low on Paradise Mantle. It's considered a staple, I think, of the Rockside deck.
Yeah.
We've, assembling a mana creature on turn one, feeding both Espers doesn't feel great if you're Derek, but when you're on a 3-card hand, I mean, anything that functions is in the range, I believe, as here's a Timna attack.
Timna
I
getting
believe
in
a
the
little
red
bit of
zone
politics
against
in there.
Rogside. Yeah, the
Yeah,
little
yeah,
the
you
little
sound
hand
like
wave.
hand wave over like, are you serious? I bowled the 3, already starting the playing possum. No, I love
Why
it. The
me?
dirt. If you don't think you're
Exactly.
going to be put in the dirt, Derek, I don't know what to tell you, but I respect you trying anyway. As we go back to Jorman's turn.
Jorman over there screaming, "Get in the dirt! Get in the dirt!" I know it.
No pivots. Force of
His
negation.
his beautiful Brooklyn accent. What would you
And
say
I
to
put
Joe
this
Byron right now?
charming, to say the least. Uh, Forbidden Orchard. What do we got? First person untap with all of the Esper Sentinel cards. Not a ton, but enough that theoretically I'd have something to work with. Ideally better than Timna, but Timna's not that bad. The
No, that's
floor of
not.
this turn is
Yeah,
Timna.
yeah.
No play. Well,
Oh,
look, when you lead up 3 mana, the first card,
yeah.
snap, Opposition
My
Agent.
my off
Opposition
agent
Agent or
alarm is going
Bowmasters.
off. Yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah,
got one of those 2 cards. That's what I'm on. If it was
yeah,
Bowmasters, though, you might want to pick off the Sentinel a little more aggressively. So Opposition Agent a little bit more likely in my book, but that's immediately what I'm thinking when you have a play that you could do otherwise.
yeah. I'm feeling the same.
And
Here it
hungry.
is. There it
Here it
is.
is. It's
Oh, oh, it's
Archivist.
Archivist. Okay.
It's opposition agent at home. And a 1
Yeah.
1 given to the Rockside player. Maybe a little olive
Hey,
branch.
little yeah, little friendly, little friendly. Okay, go ahead, block that Timna. We gotta.
Oh, you're getting beat up. That's so sad. Here, have a 1 1. Maybe this will be
Yeah.
good.
Here's a little concession price.
Yeah, you get it.
Archivist of Ogma triggering, gaining a life, drawing a card. We're playing advantage engines. We've seen this Archivist of Ogma from Jorman already in this tournament, and I'll tell you, it draws some cards generally. I think it's also a good Timna blocker, so I think Archivist of Ogma is in its is at its peak efficiency in this particular pod. Uh
In this
is a
particular
2/2.
spot, I actually agree with your assessment. I think that
Yeah.
on its own, kind of not really there, not good enough. But when Esper Sentinel is what's led on, kind of aggregating these advantage engines ends up being worth a lot more than the sum of the parts. In
Yeah.
especially when you're talking about needing to overpower opposing Timnas, opposing Espers, like this is about how much card advantage you can actually get when you're talking about everybody but the Rockside deck. And Archivist is going to be a big player there as both a good attacker with your own Timna and just being a value engine on its own that isn't just Timna, which the other two players spent their turn, kind of getting going. Here's Vamp on upkeep.
Is upkeep infuser tapping Rog for the mana.
That'll be
Interesting.
2 cards for Jorman if it resolves. You can see Derek not excited about this play, but I mean, you can't just sit there and die.
Yeah.
So
You have 2 cards in hand, you gotta do something.
Mystic Remora to me looks like the best of the bunch, but honestly, maybe a little slow even now, as players might just be looking to develop Timnas, get Kroms even going, and start making this
Yeah.
game about what's on the board versus casting a bunch of spells as a flurry. But still, I'm not sure how many better options we actually have in Derek's seat, not knowing the
Yeah.
last card or two that he is working with.
My assumption my assumption rather is that this is probably Mystic or more. I think that's a I mean, could be Mana Crypt, maybe you kept Ristic Study. I don't know. There's a variety of things that it could be, and it's not really it doesn't really help to speculate on it. The Derek has 1 card in hand and will have 2 cards in hand. So I think it invariably it'll be something to try and remedy that situation.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, there's some arguments you have like a land to grabbing a wheel before things get worse, and your tutor might actually get opposition agented, something like that. If that's
Yeah.
the direction you want to go, that does sound worse than Mystic Report to me. But again, I trust Derek's experience level against these players, this type of pod setup, and
Mhm.
even I think Derek is aware not a lot is good. Like not a lot is just blatantly gonna be the way to go. You have to kind of pick a lane. It would
Yeah.
not surprise me to see Mystic Remora. It would not surprise me to see some kind of mana source wheel of like time twister effect or what have you. My apologies.
So we're going to draw for turn and
It
play
is
a
Mystic
more.
Remora.
Yeah, play a
Yeah,
more.
that one very quickly slammed down. That's not going to trigger the Esper Sentinels. So, and it's in.
Okay,
No
it's
land drop means
resolved.
getting kind of hard to pay for, though. So maybe
Yeah.
the player's content to outweight this. We'll see exactly how much they want to feed.
Fish packed, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
All these players are ahead with creatures and like just seem content to just draw cards. I don't know
yeah.
how much they need to feed, but we'll see exactly how they feel about that particular prospect. Is Thorne going to draw a card from the lonely attacking Timna?
It looks
Doesn't
like a
quite have
luxury
Crom mana.
suite.
That's a
Um,
Bloodstained Mire
is it
and
a
his own
bloodstained
fish.
mire? Okay, and his own fish.
Yeah, choosing not to fetch the Bloodstained Mire wisely. Going to hold that as long as possible for Archivist considerations. Back to Jorman we go.
Jorman drawing a card for the fish.
Ah,
Uh,
drawing
as
card
for
for the
Sentinel,
fish.
not paid for, so there's some action with those lands with those mana sources
Yeah, I
that are
think
available.
I think these players most likely on just piles of cards packs. Like we're not paying for any of our stuff. Like
Yeah,
whatever, more interaction. Put Rogside player in the dirt. I'm gonna feed Rogside too, unfortunately, but not a lot of mana sources right now. Now, if the fish does get very well fed, that could change, and this
yeah.
fish from Derek may stay around longer than it otherwise maybe would have.
I think yeah. Everyone with a draw engine in play is gonna be like, yeah, just everybody draw a card. I guess it's not worth paying. So we'll
Every player
see.
has one now. 2 Espers,
Yep.
2 Mystic Remoras. This game is very much about those card advantage engines. As here's Jorman's
Okay.
own Mystic Remora. All
2
right.
Esperos, 3 Mystic
Okay.
Remoras. Okay.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. You hear stories sometimes about a critical mass of card draw engines before the players just kind of give up on the game and are like, let's draw and start again. I don't know
Yeah.
what threshold actually is, but assuming it exists, we can't be that far.
I think we are close to it. Once someone resolves a Ristic study as well as a Mystic Remora, I think we're there.
And here's Felwar. That's going to be, I mean, worth a lot. Everybody
Yeah.
draws a card for
More
that.
cards, yeah. I don't know about 2 for or 1 for 2ing yourself there, but
I mean, it's actually kind of even. Oh, we're brain freezing. We're going
oh,
deep.
we're just casting Brain Freeze. Okay.
Oh no, are we? Where did that brain freeze get
Oh,
revealed from?
never mind.
Are we just revealing it because we have 2 mana up and saying, "Hey, I can stop on top tutors"? Not clear what happened there.
Yeah, I don't
Derek
really
Legion
know.
with a 1/1. Well, I mean, if you're German, I mean, you have 2 card advantage engines to everybody else's 1. I
Yeah.
think at that point you're comfortable feeding everybody else's because anything they do is going to feed you twice over,
Mm,
and
yeah,
you can
realistically you
develop
have
your mana so you can
3.
actually deploy the cards. So I actually
Yeah.
like the Felwar Stone play into this pile of stuff. Playing anything that isn't mana though is, I think, a little bit suspicious to me. Or obviously a
Maybe
creature that doesn't trigger stuff.
maybe Jordan was just flipping over the last card he would have in hand. I don't know how that would be possible. Oh, there we go. Now
I
he's
mean, yeah,
slanning.
you just discard it if it's not
Yeah.
good. I don't know. Maybe I think he might just be trying to say that's what he's representing when in reality, I mean, there could be a whole myriad of things when you're talking about 2 pentacolored sources and it
Yeah.
represents quite a bit.
The fetch, granting Jorman yet another card. I think maybe if Jorman's moving to cleanup here, you fire off your fetch, so he's got to discard another card. But I don't know if that helps you in any way. I think that is what happened, though.
Yeah, I think looting just very content to be just looting is Jorman and
Yeah,
maybe already accounting for that as Brain Freeze does hit the bin.
yeah. Brain freeze and looks like a talisman.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, telling that we didn't cast the talisman, we were willing to cast the Felwar Stone, didn't cast the talisman, something you would maybe expect to do, but valuing just having an extra mana up, don't hate it.
Yeah.
When your interaction costs 1 mana, it literally represents double the interaction, which you may very well need. Is here's Imperial Seal, going to be a 3rd card for Archivist, already
Yep.
worth an Ancestral Recall.
Card for Archivist. Timna will get in and draw this Imperial Seal target.
Did
As it,
discard Brain Freeze, can't Brain Freeze the card
yeah,
away if that was something he was interested in doing, which is probably unlikely.
yeah,
No opposition agent with Thorne representing all that mana. This
yeah.
Imperial Seal is kind of brazen in my opinion. I don't know that I would have done it.
I
Uh,
mean, maybe he's just shoving it to push the issue, but yeah, I mean,
maybe I
I,
just play scared. I might
yeah,
just play scared.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
It's just so bad to get opposition agented in this kind of a setup where everybody
Yeah,
has everything. Oh, we're just face up,
just
revealing that we
face up.
searched for Mystic or more. I love this. Love this so much. Like, no, it's not scary. Don't be stressed. I'm just trying to keep up. We can be
Everybody
pals.
else, I just want to be the same. I just want to be the same, man.
Just look, everybody's having so much fun with the fishes. I wanna get in the water. I want to play with the fish. Eat the koi. No, remoras, I think they're the ones that attach to sharks, right? Like, I don't know.
Uh, yeah, they got suction cups on their heads, and yeah,
That's
they
tough.
attach to sharks. Yeah, it's a rough life, but you do what you got to do to get food, I guess.
This somehow translates into drawing every time people cast spells. A lot of mysticism in the Mystic for Mystic Remora.
You know, it was actually supposed to be Mystic Remora, like a Remora is not the fish, but
I have no idea
the
what a Remora
artist
is.
thought it was about a fish, and so they drew a
Yeah,
magical fish.
that is so sick. Is that real? What is
Yeah,
a
that's
I don't know
real.
what a Remora is.
That's real. That's a real thing. Hold on. I gotta look. A Remora, not the fish. Not a I gotta Google Remora, not the fish.
Not the fish. Yeah, I love it.
Uh, Let me see.
Here we go. As players are working on drawing their cards for all of the Mystic Remora action that is happening, we have time to delve deep into the lore of Remora versus Remora's chat.
A
Likely blowing this up.
hindrance.
A
A,
hindrance.
a
Okay, that fits
hindrance.
the flavor a lot more because like you're holding
Yeah.
back the mystics. That makes sense.
Yeah. Like a
Instead, you
mystic
just have this
hindrance.
this
Yeah.
fish just sucking
Yeah. Instead we got a
all of the
fish.
life out of your CDH
Yeah.
game with the suckers
Yeah.
on its head.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
incredible. Wow. Shout out to Ken Meyer Jr. We got this very charming fish. Which doesn't make any sense. Why is
He's
it your
so
tournament?
happy. It's such a
Nothing
happy
makes
little
any sense.
fish.
We just get time to ponder what is going on.
Yeah.
That is so sick. Wow, I did not know. I had no idea. Me learning on the broadcast, active player, over to Derek. Full grip now. I mentioned we may not want to feed the fish. Yeah, no, I'm a fool. Egg on my face. Everybody's instead going to put their own fish into play and say, all right, you put a fish into play. You wanna cast some spells? Tough guy? What do you wanna do? Cast some non-creature
You-
spells?
it's
Each one, first one gives the whole table 5 total cards. After
Are we
that,
approaching
muddier.
the written about mid-range hell? I mean,
I keep saying it, and like games keep ending in reasonable time frames. Rounds keep
yeah.
turning over. I don't know. I don't know where the hell qualifier falls in. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm just partial to mid-range Magic. I believe
I
that is
enjoy it.
Magic is Garfield intended. Creatures involved, spells involved, lands involved. I mean, I don't know what else you want from your games of
Yeah.
Magic, but I would not call what I'm witnessing hell.
We haven't.
Well,
Okay. Producer
we have a pod
Alex
finished.
saying Paxton Keskitalo taking their pod, notably knocking out tournament number 1 Dallas Glaze.
Oof. First seed, got to go first in the pod. Somebody we saw do a lot of cleaning up in the Swiss yesterday.
Yeah.
Knocked out. Paxton, somebody we saw a little bit less. At least I don't think I'm familiar necessarily. Going to advance to the finals. First finalist in their high stakes. And from the looks of this game, get a break.
Yeah. Oh. Wow.
Mox Diamond
Unfortunate.
cast by Derek. And a Confluence added as well. That feeds the table quite a
Oh
bit.
my god.
Yeah, Derek maybe on the deck the table plan. I mean,
Hey,
realistically,
I
this is the
mean,
spot where things are so complicated. It's not unrealistic to just make somebody make a mistake, right? Like somebody
yeah.
pushes when they definitely shouldn't. And right now, the way this game is leading, people should not be pushing. There's just too many fish in play. You really need to let the cumulative upkeep start to dwindle these fish down. For some of these players, it may just be unrealistic. You know, we see Evan with a mana crypt. That is worth, 2 turns on your Mystic Remora.
Yeah.
So,
Notably, Derek making the peak Rogside play, casting Silas Wren.
I've been told that casting Silas usually means the game is over by the deck experts. Although maybe changing a little bit more as the One Ring has been included. You can kind of force an issue with the One Ring. It gets countered. You Silas cast it again. Like there is like some real play to the card. And in a pod with a bunch of Timnas, just casting Silas a bunch and having a real blocker comes up. So, maybe not as hopeless as it has been said to be by other pilots to me in this particular spot, but certainly not a sign of strength. I'll say that.
Certainly not the best thing you want to be doing in the deck. So Marsh Flats from Thorne.
Another card for
We still have
Archivist.
we still have 4 mana. Yeah, and we'll give Jormaner another card. Archivist is overachieving at this point with the Imp Seal and a couple fetches that have happened with it in play.
I think you can make the argument it's overachieving and still close to irrelevant in scope to what the rest of the
So
table
yeah,
has going on here.
in
All
comparison
the
to
other
the
fish
Fever
are
War,
just so far dwarfing any particular thing. And Mystic Remora causes this arms race, right? We saw Derek get one in play first, and now the table's like, well, that goes over the top of all the Esper Sentinel stuff we have going on. So now I guess we need our own. And then each player in turn order just grabbed a fish and cast it. So it kind of created this arms race, and that actually is really smart because it doesn't favor the first person to cast fish necessarily, because you can't combo off in the face of all the fish that were just played. So you can't really utilize all the cards you drew from the players putting their own fish in play. And yours is also going to uptick to the highest, cumulative upkeep first. We see one counter on Derek's right now, none on any other fish until just now, as it was paid for. And maybe just a pass of the turn here.
We're
Red Blast looking to get involved.
something.
A taxed Red Blast, I'll say. I like reaching for the first Timnacron, like the player who's first in turn orders fish. Although I don't hate going for the one who has mana crypt either. I don't think there's a justification for
Mhm.
hitting Rog size fish here.
No, I don't think so at this point. Uh,
But I think there's a
Mystic
case for either of the
Remora?
two blue farm players.
Yeah, I think it could be Evan. Evan has the most mana to pay into their Mystic Remora, so can keep it around the longest. So I guess you push the issue here. Uh, Personally, I would probably hit Thorns just because they don't have another card advantage in play. Uh,
I like hitting thorns. Like if with all the card advantage that Evan has going on and the lesser seat position, it's a dispel. I think we were going after Evans. Anyways, I,
yeah,
I like with all of those things, you're fine if they just want to sit there and pay for their fish. Like they have an Esper Sentinel anyway. Whereas, shutting off kind of one of the blue farm players starts to really assert yourself as the dominant among the blue farm players for Jorman's seat, even though he kind of has that going on already, thanks to Archivist. Hasn't really cast his Timna yet, and Mana's going to be very taxed with all of the cards that are being drawn from these Mystic
yeah,
Remoras as a little bit of a miniature fight happening here on Thorne's end step.
and
I
it
assume that's
looks
where we're
like
at.
we are going over Thorns. Mystic Remora triggers in each case.
Yeah,
I
quite a
believe
bit
that
of
is what
draws.
is being placed on the stack. Yeah,
A fine time to fight. All the cards that Thorne draws going to get discarded. You're getting interaction out from Evan.
yeah,
And if you have something like a Grand Abolisher, if you're Jorman, basically at any point, I think you can maybe try for a win. We
yeah,
see this happen on Blue Farm all the time. We just try to cast your Silence Effect, Ranger Captain, Grand Abolisher, whatever. And if it works, you attempt to win. If it doesn't, you just pass the turn. You're just kind of
hmm,
whatever. Okay, that didn't happen. Move along
yep,
with things. We'll keep the game going. And that's one of the strengths of this kind of pivot that TNK brings to the table with the white cards. These creatures hard to
yeah,
counter, and you can just kind of lead on them, and like players have to use premium interaction to stop that from happening.
yeah. You're always going to pull a force will out of someone or something similar.
Yeah, Stern
And
Scolding has seen a
yeah,
spell snare. The cards we've talked about
that's
that are kind
true.
of weirdos for
Yeah,
CEDH, kind of seeing an uptick for this reason because of this play pattern that is starting to arise
yeah,
with these kind of free push. They're not free because you're tapping mana, but like you don't have to commit as much. You don't have to go Ritual Nas to ask the question. What do you have? You can just
yeah.
lead on this one creature, and it's basically the same caliber of question.
Hmm. Can I win the game now? Is the question.
Correct.
Uh,
Is this good enough? What you got? What's in your hand? A lot of
let's
thinking happening
do.
here still. I believe all the cards drawn. Mystical Tutor and Cyclonic Rift discarded to hand size. Looks like we got a lot more discarding to do. Brain Freeze is going to join them.
Love
Yeah, this
that.
is a
Love
big
that.
discard for Thorne. Oh, there goes Necropotence. Only two
Oh,
of three Blue Farm players playing Necropotence in this
okay.
pod. Evan choosing to leave his at home. LED joining its Brain Freeze companion in the graveyard.
I should point out that our winner of Pod One Paxton Keskitalo is on Sauron the Dark Lord.
Is that real? Really?
Yeah, that's real. Yeah,
That's hot. Wow.
yeah,
Like spicy finals already.
yeah,
Sauron the Dark Lord, huh?
yeah,
All right.
yeah. The
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 wheelie one.
wheel Sauron. Yeah,
Sure. I'm into it. Drawing cards
yeah.
good. More at 11.
Drawing card's good.
Intent
All
and
right.
Ristic Study.
Wow,
Surprised to see
Ristic
Ristic Study
Study.
discarded here. Trying to cast that under Mystic Remora, and then you kind of get to let your Mystic Remora go if it happens, is a play pattern we've seen from these kinds of decks
Yeah,
before.
certainly. Uh, okay. So we're probably not going for Grand Abolisher this turn. We're tapping our white source to
Yeah,
pay for
tapping the
Mystic
Tundra,
Remora.
I think. Well, certainly not after those discards. I mean, each one of those
Yeah,
cards Thorne just discarded are premium. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know what your leftovers are, but they have to be busted if you use your
yeah.
discards.
Absolutely. I think. Is Jorman tutoring right now, or is he looking at his hand? Because gosh, that's a lot of cards. I
Ellie is
think I
notably
saw
one we
him.
could have just played. It's so wild.
I think I saw him flash the Final Fortune there, the white bordered Final Fortune. Could be
Final
wrong, but
Fortune? I mean, another card that can force the issue, but a little bit more all in than something like a Grand Abolisher, because
yeah,
if the table just has it all, they can be like, sure, we'll beat you on the extra turn. That's fine. We got fish running. What's up?
yeah,
And
absolutely,
that's so a little bit weaker, but something we've seen. We've seen that play pattern come up as well as a way to do it. But a little less emphasis. Ironically, the Rog side deck, who doesn't have access to Grand Abolisher, you'll see that play pattern a lot more from.
yeah. What do we got? We got Polluted Delta. Are we just
Polluted
biding our
Delta.
time and discarding 7 cards or however many it is? Because that is a
I
very
don't think you
thick
can
hand of
make
magic
that many
cards.
moves. The questions are more, do you want to try to continue to develop, in my opinion? Like, do
Yeah.
you want to try to get your Tymna in play? Or is the mana more valuable? And now you have to start taking into consideration, well, how many cards am I going to be fed over the next turn cycle? How much mana can I realistically hold up? Or am I playing scared? These are real considerations that is on top of all the board state complexity and this pile of cards that you've just had added to your hand. Jeweled Lotus, I think, makes the math a little bit
Yeah.
easier.
I
And I
think we're
love this from Jorman, just able to get Jeweled Lotus going to help out the mana considerations as far as commanders go.
yeah, I think we're maybe trying to develop Crom here.
Yeah, Tymna attacks are getting worse.
Yeah, my supposition is only that I don't see feeding everyone a card if my intention is to cast Timna or multiple cards in that.
I mean,
But
maybe we could do both if we have something. I mean, we got something
one,
spicy. Maybe
two,
we can go for both.
three, six. Yeah, I mean we've got 8 mana, so we could go for both.
I assume you'd want to get a ritual involved if you're doing both.
Yeah,
But I mean, just Cromir is pretty good. I
yeah,
mean,
certainly.
not clear that it's going to be worth more cards than the Timdas are right now, without additional blockers. So,
Yeah,
like, but it's going to be better as the game progresses and this board starts to clog up a little bit more.
yeah.
It's
Granite
Drannith
Magistrate.
Magistrate, late to the party,
Okay,
but still strong.
still a good card.
Every one of these decks containing an Underworld Breach, if nothing else. A lot of Kroms still stranded in the command zone as well.
Yep.
Also, now makes Tymna attacks a little less free. You can't just attack the Wrong Side player being like, okay, if they block with Silas, I'll replay my Tymna and I'm further ahead because their mana's constricted. Like,
Yeah.
those are locked out. If you get your commander picked off, it's done for the moment. No
Looking
Jeweled
like
Lotus
he's
crack
going to
from
clean
Jorman.
up.
To discards we
Yeah.
go. Wow, that's weird. Play Jeweled Lotus, don't crack it. I do like getting the Drannith developed. And maybe at the
Yeah.
point at which you're just getting the Drannith developed, you don't want to discard your Jeweled Lotus. It's too high value, but keeping it in your hand when you have other high value stuff is already too awkward, and it's worth feeding a card. I can see that line of play as well.
Yeah.
Definitely speaks to not going for anything anytime soon, and that is kind of what I would expect Jorman's position to be. The most ahead on advantage engines, and now even further ahead with Drannith,
Yeah.
providing a little bit of pseudo.
Absolutely. Jorman is just stacking up the board with threats and card advantage, and I think overall we're gonna see his advantage kind of continue to pile up as people cast more spells. Yeah, he's playing the type of magic that he tends to play. I'll say that much.
Well, it works very well for him. We've seen that multiple times on our series already, and definitely have
Yeah.
seen it here in this tournament as well. If you are Evan, you're about to untap. Who in your mind is the threat at this table right now?
If I'm Evan, I'm very seriously thinking that it's Jorman. I know that there is Rogside behind you that has a fairly full grip of cards, but you are going forth. You might get leaned on. You're fourth in priority for Rogside, so you might get leaned on. But I feel like it's probably Jorman, and in many cases, I feel like Jorman's the one he's gotta beat. I feel like maybe the other two opponents are going to be passing on Evan's spells, and so uh, yeah, that's
Yeah, if
my
I'm
my
Evan, I
supposition.
don't feel that ahead. Obviously, that can change with the mana that
Yeah,
Evan has available. So it's a tough equation, right? Because I think all these players are in pretty good spots, and Jorman just took his turn. So of course he's going to look the most threatening because his turn just ended.
yeah,
But at the same time, his turn just ended, so he's going to be the last person in turn order to get a turn. So what is your consideration for the next two players in turn order, other than you, as far as who is has the highest potential to win? Can you afford to push with whatever you have to work with? I mean, we saw a ton of crazy cards that are strong discarded by Thorne. The leftovers have to be great, and there's a lot of mana
yeah.
held up. What does that mean?
I
A lot of
think so.
considerations here.
The case is that like if Rogsai cast Silas, I'm thinking that they're probably not an issue, and also I'm considering the types of quote unquote silence effects they can play in Defense Grid and Conqueror's Flail, which Defense Grid doesn't really protect them. Everybody's holding up 3 mana, and Conqueror's Flail is more mana than they can use to get online right now. So I it's between Jorman and Thorne. Thorne has been drawing a lot of cards and just kind of biding their time. They have a bunch of mana up, but Jorman has a few more card advantage engines in play. So I don't know. I'm
It's a tough
based
call.
on yeah,
It
based
was a
on
tough
knowledge of
question for a reason because
Roxai.
I don't know the
Yeah.
answer. So I was
Yeah.
curious what your thoughts were. Sabine's discarded among the mix for Jorman. That one could come up later. Bourne also discarded. Kind of surprised to see that one. If a big Mystic Remora stack ended up
Yeah.
happening, I would not be that surprised to see Bourne get involved in that way. Jorman not really interested. Doesn't really think that's going to come up. A pretty loud statement about, I think, his progression for the game. The final piece worth mentioning, I think, is Fierce Guardianship. When you have Jeweled Lotus and a Fierce Guardianship in hand, it's very tempting to just develop a commander and
Develop,
then
yeah,
you
it's
kind of
an
get rebated on the mana you tapped because that Fierce is now available. Choosing
yeah.
instead to leave up the Lotus as Dockside is going to
Ooh.
enter the mix
Ooh, this is
for
large.
Evan. I
And so
don't think
Jordan probably kicking
this
himself for not
can
cracking that
resolve.
jeweled notice and turning it into fierce guardianship. Like,
There's no way this can resolve, right? Like this is functionally the same caliber as an ad nauseum or like a
yeah.
grand abolisher. Honestly, I think you can let an ad nauseum resolve before you can let this Dockside resolve.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't trigger any of the card advantage engines in play right now, so everybody's gonna be like, "Well, I mean, Jorman, you got the most stuff." It
It's
resolves.
in
Holy guacamole!
nothing. No cracks from anybody.
Nothing.
Nobody casts any spells. And this Dockside representing, I don't want
12?
to say infinite mana because it's functionally not
No,
infinite, but I mean, it feels like infinite from this perspective.
yeah, it's too much. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, and with Jordan just discarding a Phantasmal Image, I mean, face up, we got Sabine's Phantasmal Image, so something's got to change. It's
Smothering
Smothering
tithe.
Tithe. Hello! A
Ooh,
card
that's
I
a
am a huge fan of, and it looks good here.
in this matchup. It looks particularly juicy.
And with no end to Evan's Mystic Remora in sight, the pairing of the Smothering Tithe plus a Mystic Remora means you get cards, you get mana. I mean, if this happens, you can almost afford to pass the turn and not be scared of people cloning your Dockside because you're still going to have more mana than them.
Yeah,
I mean, I assume
at
somebody's got
this
to make a
point.
move at some point. You just can't let all this stuff happen, right?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe you can.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm sounding alarm bells too early, but I don't feel like you can let this happen.
No, I don't disagree with you. I feel like this cannot resolve given the amount of card draw engines in play.
Well, it
You're
might.
just
Maybe people just don't have anything. I mean, that feels ridiculous to me, but maybe it
yeah,
might just happen.
I especially with Jorman discarding Fierce Guardianship, for him to not have anything else for Smothering Tithe would be baffling to me. But
I mean, if he doesn't want to use it, maybe he doesn't want to use it. I mean, that would speak to maybe Rift considerations. Like that has to be the first card I'm thinking of because this is just too much. And it looks like it is going to resolve. Well, I mentioned who's the threat. We talked a little bit about
it,
everybody being equal footing. I put
it has
Evan
changed.
firmly in the
Yes.
lead now, which
Yeah.
tends to happen when you talk about who's the active player in CDH when you have all these Mystic Remora cards to work through. But I mean, even just where we're at right now, even if you have good turns, it still just puts Evan further ahead. More mana, more
Yeah.
cards. And at some point, I mean, we haven't seen a board from him yet. Like, you could just win over the top of somebody. And that is worth a lot more than just normal, I mean, crazy amounts of mana development, crazy engines developments. I mean, this is the right combination. And outside of something like a Rift resolving, these enchantments are going to be nearly impossible to get off the board.
It looks like we are trimming to 7 and passing here.
I'll say this. People, when I spent a lot of my time in CDH trying to make Smothering Tithe work.
Yeah.
I got mixed reviews about it, and in general, I largely ended up cutting it because there were too many games where it wasn't that good, but there were games where it overperformed. I'm not sure you could pick a pod better for Smothering Tithe than what
Yeah.
we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Wheels from
I
Rogsai, card advantage engines everywhere you look, and mana is the name of the game when you talk about a blue farm deck. A lot of powerful cards, they're expensive, they're pip intensive. You need a lot of mana, even when you have all of these cards, to actually power through everything going on here. If a
Oh,
card could do it, it's Smothering Tithe, and Demonic Tutor going to be a
demonic tutor.
crazy follow-up. And doing this into the face of opposition agent now, very safe with all. You could pick a fight here because you're just going to get rebated on mana and cards. You can just keep it going. and eventually tax these other Blue Farms players' mana. Even Rogsai, who is notably more mana efficient than the Blue Farm players, you can power through that. This might just be a full win attempt at this point. I
This
think you
could
can
be
just
it.
demonic for Abolisher and then win with a
Yeah.
ham sandwich.
Yep.
Everything is just resolved.
I mean, realistically, we're gonna see a card, Archivist of Ogma, and then 2 fish, and the Esper Sentinel's already been triggered. Demonic
Yeah.
Tutor resolving.
Demonic Tutor, a ritual
Yeah.
underneath the Smothering Tithe.
We've put the Rhystic Study on the bottom of our deck. We've put the Lotho, I think, on the bottom of our deck.
I
What are
mean,
we
there's no
detutoring for?
rush. I would probably grab
Yeah.
Ranger Captain here. I think that's the best
Yeah.
card by a lot. But maybe you made some politicking deals to get these cards. I don't know how else these cards resolved. So maybe you made some
Yeah.
politicking deals
Yeah.
to get this stuff in. It's Bowmaster, sure. Equally crazy. I mean, literally, like I said, a ham sandwich. Honestly, I would almost prefer not grabbing Bowmasters because people will just continue to draw cards under your Smothering Tithe, which
Yeah.
is almost worse for them than the Bowmasters.
Yeah.
But it is going to be Bowmasters, and that one very quickly cast.
Looks like it.
Trigger from Archivist of Ogma, I believe, in response. So there's a trigger of Archivist of Ogma on the stack. We're casting the Bowmasters in response, is where we're at now. Does not trigger the fish.
Does not.
I mean, oh, are we countering this? Like, I feel so foolish, like, trying to analyze what the table conversation can be.
Yeah.
You let a Dockside resolve. You let a Smothering Tithe resolve. I mean, if you're letting those resolve, why are we countering this? Like,
The
you
force of will.
I don't know.
The Bowmasters, but not the Smothering Tithe.
Pitching
Force of
Cyclonic
will
Rift.
pitching Psych Rift. Wow.
I mean, that
Huh.
triggers everything. Are we
Yeah.
drawing and giving Evan Smothering Tithe mana? I'll be honest. I don't know how Evan doesn't just win here.
Yeah.
Literally, there's no bad moves. You can fight, it's fine. You can not fight, it's fine. All roads lead to Rome when you have Mystic Remora Smothering Tithe. Nobody has like crazy stuff that will actually guaranteed work, like Crows and Script that are in green. Like this stuff is just going to stay in play. As long as Evan doesn't draw actual
Yeah.
worst possible, I do not know how he loses this game from this position.
No,
What's gonna work?
not gonna fight over the Bowmaster.
Oh, we flashed to Savines, sure.
We
That
gotta
mana
resolve the
neutral.
triggers. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it just doesn't. Yeah. Well, yep. Savines. I'm gonna go for my Bowmasters. What are you gonna do? Counter it? I'll flash it back. I have functionally
I
infinite
have
mana. There's nothing
billion
matters.
mana.
The Smothering
Yeah.
Tithe is just a constriction on the game.
Yeah. He's rebating 3 mana every time. Every time he casts
Yeah.
a
I mean, the
spell.
players can
It's
choose not to
wild.
draw, but then what? Then you run out of interaction.
Yeah, then you can't beat him. But you can't beat him anyway.
Yeah, you can't beat him
So
anyway. I mean, maybe you can. Like I said, I mean, we're talking like every other card has to be a land or something, and you have to draw
Yeah.
straight gas as a table aggregate in order to stop what's going on here.
Yeah.
I don't see a way out for this table, but maybe some Born Upon the Wind shenanigans could get involved.
Could be.
It's tough. Silence is, of course, still very live. Cards that have to actively be countered. You know, a lot of the power that Evan's getting here is he's getting mana rebates, so he doesn't care if his stuff gets countered. He doesn't have any pressure to fight back. Having
Yeah.
actual plays from your opponents that you have to fight back on could be a constriction point for Evan if there's any left.
Here we are making our orc army that I assume will be functionally a 2020 very soon.
Not optimistic about that one staying a 1/1. I believe we're going to approach Blightsteel Colossus
Yeah.
territory faster than
Yeah.
faster than most creatures do.
Evan
And
asking
some
looks
discards.
like
3 cards
Arcane
to discard. Your
Yeah.
turn. What would you like to do? Yeah, doesn't matter. There's no rush. I don't think you could lose this game in any universe. I really don't
Yeah.
understand. It has to be mistakes. Mistakes or the worst draws you've ever seen are the only ways out. You can't lose on any axis. You can't lose on mana. You can't lose on cards. You already have board state locked down because of Bowmasters. That's going to eat through everything. You're in no rush. You could do it whenever you want. So whatever. You can play with your food a little bit and be even safer. And that's something that is a fundamental of TNK, something we're going to see here. The conversation, this is an arch enemy game. There's no who's the threat. This is an arch enemy game, and I'm still not sure there's a way out.
Although I think if you're Derek here, you are incentivized to feed cards because at least if I were Evan, I would phrase it as I can get the Timna and the Dranith and the Archivist off the board. So just feed me some cards and some, some mana and a
I just
bigger army.
every layer of squirming just seems so bad. Like if
Yeah.
you fight over Evan's fish, he just draws a ton of cards. Everybody else is drawing cards to keep up, and like obviously two fish is greater than one. You know, maybe two players can overwhelm, but he just gets so much mana that that may not even be true. It's just not about that.
There just isn't. I don't.
And
Yeah,
with
I
the
don't see a
damage
way
you get
out.
to clear the board, it just I really don't. Like I'm actually it's hard to get to that position in CEDH where you have three players that just have a pile of cards from Mystic Remora. So if you are talking about they can have any cards in their deck, what does the composition look like where they're likely to win the game? And I'm struggling to come up with some. I mean, I think that's a really big sell. I mean, I mentioned Smothering Tithe is going to look as good as it can possibly be in CEDH in this pod, but I mean, I'm not ready. I was not ready to see exactly how dominant that is. The card, a ritual on the turn he played it.
Yeah,
For a 4 mana card that made like something like 7 or 8 mana the turn he played it. And
we
now, I
just
mean,
free cast Savine's Wreck. Like, yeah,
yeah,
wild.
which forced through Bowmasters, and now there's damage marked on Archivist, thanks to a Bloodstained Mire. Archivist, I believe, not optional. Doesn't really
Not
matter. I think
optional.
Thorne wants the card anyway.
You gain one
Uh,
life and you draw a card.
yeah. So like, oh, you fetched, cool. I'll take a mana and a point of damage. How's that sound? Is that pretty good? Just you can't take a single game action without Evan getting further ahead. We'll see exactly what these players come up with. There has to be a lot of talk here. I would expect the pace of play to slow down a little bit as these players try to solve the exact puzzle I'm trying to solve from the booth.
Yes, yeah. It's a collaborative storytelling experience.
Sure, yeah. Magic.
Except it's Evan's story. Evan is the main
There's a
character.
meme from the SCG days about Emrakul the Promised End, and
Okay.
memeing on Mark Rosewater, who at the time of the card's release, and shockingly to everybody involved, Mindslavers are miserable. Weird.
Yeah,
So
weird.
card being competitively pushed was really unfun. Weird. And um, Mark Rosewater was like quoted saying, "It's a different story every time." And so naturally, SCG took this in stride because the story every time is you get destroyed and can't possibly win. And so every time somebody just gets obliterated by Emrakul the Promised End, it's just a different story every time. And I'm definitely feeling that right here with the Mystic Aurora
Yeah.
Dockside combination. It's a different story every time. I mean, look at all these things. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. These players can't possibly win.
Anything
You've been Emrakul
anything
the
could
Promised
happen.
End. No card you get on your extra turn gets you out. Like, you're done. Collaborative storytelling indeed. Quite a story to tell. And the Archivist is going to hit the bend. All right. Well, that's down. Esper Sentinel from Jorman also down. Lowly Dranith left alive. Kind of actually just playing on Evan's team. Can kill it whenever he feels like it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, stops other players from even using their Underworld breaches. Probably not going to reach for that Dranith anytime soon. Again, no rush from Evan.
You can just lay in the cut. He's good. He's good where he is. He doesn't have to do much.
12 treasures. Going to have to grab a new dice for the treasure tokens soon.
What a bummer.
Yeah. You wouldn't know it's a treasure token, because they actually make red border magic cards now. So even
I've
that
seen that,
token there,
yeah.
that token, you can't tell if that is that a magic card, is that treasure? I don't know. But you know what? If only there was some tokens that you could use to represent your treasures that are far more legible.
Oh. You know
Anyway,
what? It feels
they do
like
make those.
alltradesmedia.etsy.com, code Eminence.
Code Eminence, 25%?
I think
I
it's
think 25. Yeah, I mean, that's
20,
most codes
25,
are
yeah.
25% is
Yeah.
crazy. 25% off your order. Alltradesmedia.etsy.com. The original print proxies, black and white, our active player token among the mix there. A better treasure token available in the pack. Great tokens, great art, extremely legible. A huge need in the era of
Mana
spell.
trackers, big color-coded
Oh,
letters. They were
colored
so
and letters. If you
yeah.
can't see the color, guess what? There's a letter. Works for the colorblind. Awesome
They were
stuff.
so good.
Very needed in the community. Support them. They support us. And honestly, they support the people around you when you're playing Spell Table. Use those tokens. Original print proxy pack from alltradesmedia.etsy.com.
Bowmasters annihilating Timna.
Yeah, I mean, annihilating everything except the
Yeah.
cards that Evan wants to stay in play. You talk about when combos happen in Commander sometimes, you enter this god state where the game kind of just does whatever you want it to do because you just have so much agency over the game that just whatever you want to happen happens. You know,
Yeah.
people talk about this with slivers. I play a little bit of slivers. You just amass enough slivers, you just blow up all the permanents, get infinite life. It's literally just
Yeah.
La La Land. Just do whatever you want. That's
Yeah.
what it feels like from Evan's seat. And I don't know that the players, can escape from underneath the deity that is Evan Pierce's reign on this game.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Evan is just in such a highly advantaged position here. I don't.
I mean,
It,
we're Mana Rocks is making plays. We're doing stuff.
I mean, what are we like? What is the out here? It's not even like
It
an
has to involve a
overloaded
pile of
rift is
hard to
like
counter stuff, right? Like Grand Abolishers, like multiple
yeah,
like Ranger Captains. Like it has to be like the suite of hard to counter cards and bad draws from Evan specifically, and
yeah,
almost certainly mistakes from the other two players that would otherwise be countering your Grand Abolishers for you. Like the
yeah,
conversation needs to be, I'm going to cast this Grand Abolisher, and if it resolves, I win. Do not counter it, other two, because we have to make Evan specifically counter this.
yeah,
And like that is the level of parasitic this game has to become in order to break through. And even that might be good enough because Orchish Bowmasters is still in play. It still triggers.
amazing, amazing.
I mean, it's crazy. Like you don't
Such an
see
odd.
games continue on terribly long past this point. It speaks somewhat to the power level of the decks at the table that Evan can be so far ahead and still not be confident enough to just go for the win.
To just
But
slam it, yeah.
there, I think he's right. There is a window with these cards I'm talking about and this kind of language that I'm talking about as well to maybe break something through. So don't be in a rush. Play tight. This is a high stakes moment. It's untimed round. Give it an extra turn cycle or two until it is a check mark. At the point at which it is a confident check mark, you can go for it. But,
Yeah.
let the players squirm in the meantime. There's no rush. In fact, players tapping down mana to pay for their own fish because it's just the best thing they have going on, and it's just not good enough. As Evan quickly ticking up the treasure counter up to 15. Cavern of
Cavern of
Souls.
Souls.
Okay.
Okay, so someone in the chat just said the way out is Cavern of Souls naming human and cast Grand Abolisher.
But then
Uh,
what?
and
Like,
then
then you
what?
have Orchish Bowmasters triggers.
Yeah.
I mean, what players just gonna not draw and let Thorne win the game? I mean, that's the same as just conceding to Evan, right?
I
Isn't
think
it?
this is going to be Ranger Captain.
It's got to be one of them. It
Yeah,
is Ranger
it's
Captain. I
Ranger
think that's the
Captain.
better of the two. That one doesn't get picked off by Bowmasters. That one
Yeah.
has to be answered on the stack, which the only way to do that right now is dress down. Doesn't really answer it on the stack, but you get the joke.
Yeah,
Stops it from working.
yeah.
And then Bowmasters can pick it off on Jorman's turn. So these are the cards. Cavern of Souls, I mean, looks like it could be good enough. I mean, I'm still not confident. We have a dress down, right? That card just like works. No dress down for Thorne. Does Evan have a dress down?
No.
No.
Derek has a dress down.
Derek has a dress
And
down.
yeah, Derek has a dress down.
All right.
Derek, the only player with dress down registered in this pod.
Okay. Only one dress down in the pod. All the fish is still available. I mean, this is a start. Every spell you cast still triggers Bowmasters twice.
Yeah.
Can you slog through? I mean, how many spells do you need to win? You
Yeah.
can't do a Breach Line. Drannith is still in play. So it has to be this plus mana for Thoracle Consult plus just Thoracle Consult.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the chance. This is the out. I mean, despite this looking really strong and really resilient, I'm not confident it's a check mark.
No, I'm not certain it is. I think we're discussing as a table whether this can resolve right now.
Well, I mean, there's a Cavern of Souls.
Yeah.
It's not getting countered.
Oh, it just resolves. Yeah.
But the question is, do we need to do something beforehand? Because you can cast spells beforehand and start to work through Thorne's life, if that's the angle to keep Thorne from winning here.
Yeah.
But Thorne can politic back and be like, well, you know, you really need to make Evan use all Evan stuff. But in reality, there's not that much stuff that works. And this is what I'm talking about. It involves not just a Ranger captain that has to resolve, but also you need to politic the other players from making optimal plays by just saying, Evan, make Evan do it. And then Evan doesn't have enough. This is too resilient of a play. So that's what's happening here. These players are talking, a lot of talking back and forth. That's what the conversation has to be if Thorne wants to break through this lock. It has to be 3v1 plus, you know, some mistakes made, plus the Cavern of Souls Ranger Captain style setup, which is the easy part. You're drawing so many cards with Remora. That's actually the easy part. It's assembling the cards from your deck. Convincing the players a little bit harder as they continue to talk.
So you've gotten, I mean, so you got part A, but you need parts B through E still.
Yeah. Start. I mean, if you're going to make a play that matters, this is it.
Yeah.
And it actually has a chance to move the game in your favor to maybe even winning. Like I said, we have basically no mana left. So Dockside can obviously change that math. There's a lot of other considerations, but you know, right now we need to do more stuff. This doesn't win the game on its own. This doesn't even, you know, really do anything on its own until we start doing other stuff. And at the point when you start doing other stuff, that triggers the cards, that opens up Odawara considerations, that opens up Bowmasters dealing a bunch of damage considerations.
Yeah.
There's more at play, even if this Ranger Captain happens. And that's not even a lock right now.
Yeah.
Born Upon the Wind on the table for these players.
It's the onus of interaction is kind of being pushed onto Derek at this point, which has to feel bad for Derek. It looks like Derek is floating mana.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're using our Grim Monolith. I mean, this is
Yeah.
action time. Like I said, we've seen recently with these blue style decks with these draw engines, pull up the Borns. And I'm surprised.
Wow.
This is why I was surprised to see Jorman discard is Born Upon the Wind, because this is a state where it's like, okay, you know, Thorne has something good, forcing action. Let's just win on top of it. And this is where you would want your Born.
Yeah, absolutely.
Choose and there's Born from Derek.
Of which,
yeah, it's like, what are we gonna do about this Ranger Captain? What do you mean do about the Ranger Captain? Win on top. That's all we can do.
Yep. It is literally the shot that you have here.
And more squirming means more cards for Derek. 2 cards coming. Not sure if other players are drawing. We'll see certainly in a moment. Yeah, there's a Jorman draw. That's another treasure.
More mana, bigger dude, another ping.
And yeah, we've started picking Thorne. I mean, this is exactly like it looks like, okay, yeah, you're out. You did it. Cavern plus Ranger Captain, it's good enough. No, it is not.
Nope. You could die here.
Me? Evan is not going to touch this board. Please cast spells, Derek. Please.
Yeah. Fire into these draw engines.
Cast his. Just cast mine. It's Mindbreak Trap. Okay, we'll get them both. Get them both.
Hey, Mindbreak Trap does solve that problem.
A nice Cavern of Souls. I forgot about Mindbreak Trap entirely as an answer, and it just checks both.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
A disaster. And now what? Do you fight back? If you're Thorne, you basically have to. You're not getting another turn.
You must, yeah.
And then what? More cards, more damage to your face with Bowmasters, making your actual win even harder. Then if you fight back in the Mindbreak Trap, the board is still on the stack as well. It's a disaster. Like, this looks so good, and it's just now, as the cards come flying, it's a disaster. So hard to get out from underneath this.
Such
power on Orchish.
Such an answer right on time, the Mindbreak Trap. I mean, it's what do you do? Especially if you're Thorne, you fight this. You have 1 mana up in a Mox Diamond right now, and you didn't develop your mana before you cast your Ranger Captain. You might be holding mana back so as to not feed the card draw engines or whatever, and cast your Dockside. But does it bite you in the butt to just leave that 1 Mox Diamond up here? I don't know.
I mean, I don't hate it. Like, I would rather see what happens with this Ranger Captain first, because it is so resilient.
Yeah.
Like, players are going to have to squirm a little bit. I do like the call. Like, the call not playing mana first is basically saying, I don't plan on getting involved in the fight. But now, I mean, this just played out in such a way that getting the Ranger captain and like one of the last meaningful things that Derek can really do in this game in one shot is just like another huge win for Evan, is someone
Yeah.
who's already in a, I've akined it to a godlike position in this game.
Yeah.
I think you need to start with Derek fighting back because this is Derek's last good card too. And you can make a good case that, hey, you get started on the fight. I'll back you up. He's pinging me right now. So I'm the one taking the Orchish Bowmasters fallout as things stand. Start a fight. Let's see where things go and hope that things break your way. That's, I think, the only argument you can make if you're in Thorne's position. But there's going to be a lot of talk here because, again,
Yeah.
this is an arch enemy position from someone who has just had it all. And you can't be surprised. Like, oh, I'm so lucky to have Mindbreak. He's like 99 cards in hand. There's so many cards. Nothing matters. It's just like, if you are scared of something, it is in his hand. I promise you that.
I mean,
or he
like
has a
I
tutor to
said,
find it and draw it right away. Like, it doesn't matter.
like I said, you just draw the other 92.
Yeah, you alluded to drawing the whole deck. I kind of laughed at
Yeah.
you. Yeah, no, that's just happening. That's what's going on in this game. Evan doing a little bit of talking. I don't even know that you need to. I mean, Evan, of course, very, very talented player, going to get involved and not spew any percentage points. Getting involved in the conversation, but certainly doesn't have to. Doesn't matter. Whatever you do, I'm getting paid. Coming, going. What do you want to do? You tell me. Let me know when the stack is resolving, and I'll let you know if I got anything else.
Okay. We're just letting it happen? No one wants to fight?
No fight. Another huge win for Evan. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know how many more of those you could take that aren't just a straight win, but
yeah,
that was certainly, I think, one of the last big plays from both of these players. And yeah, if you're Thorne, you're basically priced into going forward anyway. Like, you're not going to do anything else that matters. And a point going Jordan's way now. Wow. So sick.
Evan,
I love this from Evan.
Yeah, insurmountable advantage Evan has, and I feel like if you're Thorne, you're going for it anyway because you are not getting another turn in whatever case.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last turn cycle for sure. I mean, maybe the players will try to play it out more or whatever. This is the last turn cycle that can matter. And there's not much that we mentioned that going in. There's not much that can matter. We'll have to see what is assembled. The players have done a good job forcing action that does actually matter. But I mean, as we've seen so far, it has not been enough, and I would expect that trend to continue, barring additional, cards. I mean, here's a Phantasmal Image that represents a Bowmasters potentially.
Probably a Dockside.
Dockside
under Esper, so
a lot of good targets.
Yeah.
Anything that matters? Not clear. I mean, Evan has so many options. You could bounce your own Dockside. That's great. You could, you could just counter this. That's great. Like, just do whatever you want. You may not even have to. Like, please play Dockside and cast more things. That would be great for me. Please.
That's the thing.
I'll just play with the Bowmaster triggers. This is fine.
Yeah, if you're Evan, I don't even think you're priced into interacting here. I think you're totally good to just lay there and let everybody else do the work.
Yeah, Ranger Captain, a card you do have to interact with. Phantasmal Image, when there's no abolishers or anything in play, less so. Now, there is like a little bit of a consideration to, okay, if it makes Dockside and then, Thorne has Grand Abolisher as well, is that something that is a problem for you? Not clear.
I don't think it is, unfortunately. Yeah.
Like, it is a little bit, like, if you could stop this Phantasmal Image, very likely Thorne's basically out of juice.
Yeah.
Then you only need to contest with Jorman. And, being able to kind of cut that down to a 1v1 is something that is going to be appealing for Evan, I believe. But, once again, I don't think you can make a wrong move here. Bowmaster's a lot worse, obviously, given that it is a Phantasmal Image. Almost certainly just going to be a Dockside. As it appears that there is a judge call.
It seems like two people got away. Also, Jorman. Maybe it's a bathroom break.
The whole table.
Oh, okay.
Ball is coming in. What are we doing here?
Yeah. They've played so long that their bladders are full.
I mean, I don't blame them. I could
empty
use a
them.
bathroom break. I need to go. What about me?
What, Drake?
Oh, our producer Alex very wisely took his 20 minutes ago. Me, I'm forced to wait for the moment. These players. Now's the moment. I mean, I'll take it. All right. Got cover for me.
Okay, go. All right. Bathroom judge call. Everybody enjoying the stream so far? Please leave a like on the video, subscribe, and if you are interested in joining, Eminence has the new what are they called? They are called memberships. Memberships. You can become a member on YouTube and support us, your favorite creator. Thank you so much. Hello, Kobayashi. Uh, hello, gang. All 230 of you currently watching, welcome. If you're just joining us, we are in the middle of one of the more mid-rangey pods we've seen throughout this entire tournament. Big fan of what's going on. We have several draw engines in play and millions of cards being drawn. And Evan
We are
Pierce,
back.
aka the Freedom Waffle, is just honestly, it's like one of those funny scenes in the movies where everybody is pulling out a gun, and then Evan pulls out a second gun. Everybody's pulling out their second gun, and then Evan grows a third arm and pulls out a third gun. That's where we're at right now. It's pretty intense.
I mean, calling them guns. I mean, it's like everybody else has the starting pistol, and then he's got ray guns.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
These
Yeah,
are
that is
not
fair.
normal guns. I mean, Evan is so far ahead. Yeah, they've been pack a punch. They've been
Obviously.
whatever. I don't even know what's left in Call of Duty these days. I stopped playing. Black Ops 2, the goat. Shout out. But
I cannot disagree.
yeah, just yeah, they're pack a punch. They have all the upgrades. He has the Bowie knife too. He's doing it all. And the other players starting pistols, hoping that they can get a lucky grenade or whatever. I don't, I don't know what we're doing here.
CEDH Budget Brute is in the chat saying, I went to the grocery store and came back, and it's still the same mid-range game.
Mid-range? Okay, we talked a little bit about, is this mid-range hell? This is hell? I mean...
It's mid-range fun for me, I
fun?
think. Like,
I mean, I don't know that I'd want to, I don't know that I'd want to continue playing if I was any of these players. I think if I'm Thorne, my Ranger Captain gets countered, it's like, all right, the team, are we going to continue playing, or
are we going to restart this game?
Can we, I want to go get some food, what do you
If you're Evan, no, we're not restarting this game.
Oh, no, restart this game. Are you kidding me? No, thanks.
Yeah.
Seems to be going well for me. Oh, we're rifting. I believe this is an overload rift.
Oh, big rift. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, we got active players solved. Yeah, I don't know. Like, this is
I don't even know if that's enough.
Inevitable. Like, literally, Evan's just kind of like, fine.
I don't know if
I guess
rift
I'll
in response is even enough.
Mitigates the dockside count quite a bit. You get to crack all your treasures for various mana, and then what? Born.
1, 2, 3,
all the permanents are gone.
4.
Just born, win. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the dockside count goes to what, 5? 1, 2.
Well, Evan's treasures
5?
stay in play. That's the number that matters.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Evan will probably crack their treasures, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts and enchantments in control and in play under Evan's control. So like, if this Cyclonic Rift resolves, they're like, what's the point of even carrying on? Just give Evan all your cards and leave the venue. Like you're racing for pink slips.
Evan has a born in his deck, right? Like we're not talking about nonsense, right? Like
hold
as
on,
soon as this happens, he can just born for a win.
I am going to check. Born Upon a Wind is very much there. Yes. Good soup.
Okay. So as soon as you just get all the permanents lifted, Mystic Moor is not a question anymore. Crack all your treasures with this 1,000 on the stack. Who knows? Maybe leave it on the stack. Just cast your Born and win the game. Like, it's a fine spot if you're going to say, I don't think the spot's getting that much better. I have more than enough interaction for everybody. I just want all the permanents gone, and I'm just going to go for it now. I'm tired of thinking about this. Like, but he doesn't even have to do that. Again, it gets worse because your Bowmasters isn't triggering on opposing fish anymore, but you also don't have to worry about the card flow from opposing players anymore either. So, it's still good. It's still a win. an overloaded rift is what it is. It's known and feared in Commander for being a powerful play. It is still a powerful play here, especially with Evan still having 14 treasures left behind. And what it realistically does, likely for this table, is cause an additional fight on top, which is actively good for Evan. So once again,
Yeah.
every play that is made is good for Evan. Assembling something that is bad for Evan is actually still very difficult, and we'll see if that can even be done by these players here at all. Unlocking Draenith makes Breach a consideration.
Yep.
Something.
I
Something
guess
to
that
latch
is
onto.
true. Even in the case that Big Rift resolves here, I don't know. I think, yeah, I think
Two
Thorne will
boards are
end up
down,
casting.
so you don't have to
Yeah,
worry about any wins over the top of you.
I
And
think Thorne will end up casting a bunch of spells into Evan's card advantage engines anyway, and then
all right, it's Force of Negation targeting this Cyclonic Rift, pitching Miscast. Card that has hit the exile. All players drawing. Orchish Bowmasters ticking up, going after Jorman's life total down to 33. Is Jorman after all the draws dust has settled.
we have an 18/18 orc army right now, which is might as well be infinite,
Oh, it's
infinite.
Red Blast. Going after, I assume the miscount. Why don't we just pay for them? No, it's the Force Negation. Silly me.
Red
Going
Blast, my
after the Force
favorite
Negation.
ritual. Spend 1 mana, get 3 back.
Get 3, counter a spell. Is that strong? Is that
Yeah,
pretty
it's
good?
pretty good
Seems
as
good to me.
I understand.
Oh,
Recall plus counter
we may
spook.
not have cast the blast. We might have just flashed the blast.
Yeah, yeah, perhaps.
And he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, let priority get to me. We might have done a little priority shortcutting, or we're just talking. We're just saying, hey, I have it. I mean, it's got to be a demoralizing position if you're this table.
Maybe showing that he's got the blast and he could use it on the counter spell, or he could blast the Fimage and not have the problem in
I
the
hate
first
that.
place.
I don't hate just blasting the
Yeah,
Fimage.
yeah.
After this happens, like whatever, fine, blast the Fimage
I think that's
and
what the yeah.
move along with things. We'll see what happens. A lot of triggers are going to happen, and more spells could potentially be cast. I think we need to do a little bit of a better job actually building this stack. The stack potential for all these decks with all the mana they have to work with and all the
Mhm.
cards they have to work with has the potential to get rather ridiculous.
Yeah.
Flusterstorm, an ace in the hole available for Evan. Not really available to the other players, with Evan having
No.
so much mana to work
Yeah.
with. And counting, up to 18 treasures. Crossed the 20 threshold, has this orc
Yes.
army.
Yeah. 21/21 without a wheel resolving.
Still summoning sick.
True.
Of course, not Evan's turn quite yet. These players doing some drawing. We'll see if we want to do anything about the Red Blast. I presume this Red Blast is targeting Force of Negation. I think I saw a motion towards that.
My
Fine.
guess.
Yeah, like, but once again, I don't want to say it's make decisions at random time. It's a term I like to use when the game is just in garbage time.
Hmm.
I think Evan does still need to play optimally. There is paths out of this if he just starts firing stuff off literally at random. But I think if Evan plays optimally, we're just about done. As
Big
we're
Rift
gonna float a
goes.
mana, float a mana. Will Derek with Silas, and Big Rift comes through. Image is still on the stack, and the board is cleaned up except for Evan's pile of dice.
Yeah.
Dice bag versus all.
If only he had 18 treasure tokens from All Trades Media.
Yeah. 18 treasure. I think we can start using dice. I would still prefer the treasure token instead of a red bordered card up with your creatures when they make red bordered magic cards. But, you know,
We're pathing our own dockside here.
yeah, sure. I mean, what are you going to do with that? You can bounce it, you can path it, you can do whatever you want. Nothing
Yeah.
matters. Like, you're now that the fish are gone, copying anything else on the board no longer matters. Your Bowmaster's dying. It's done its work. It
Yep.
has done what it needs to do. So pathing, totally fine. I mean, I mentioned this. Like, you can kind of blow out this Phantasma Witch by just answering your own dockside, and it just doesn't
Yep.
even matter.
Yep.
I guess there may be some politicking involved, but realistically, just chose that time to pull the trigger on the Rift in case things went bad. Again, I don't know if there's a way things even could go bad, but A fine play.
throughout some amount
Does
of interaction. And
Waffle play a basic?
does
I would presume
Waffle
the answer is no.
play a basic? Let me.
We got something we can grab. Little style on them. Absolutely irrelevant to the
Uh,
game state, so don't spend
no,
too much energy on it.
zero
Just
basics.
0 basics. Quite literally, better swords to plowshares, your own dark side. Showing how much of a liability is. Oh my gosh, Jorman starting to get involved. Force negation, pitching his Mystic Remora that was just bounced to hand. Getting involved in the conversation here, as I believe this is a Force of Negation pitching
On the
Remora
path?
on the path to exile. That is where we are at. That is the stage of Arch Enemy. Ad nauseam.
Okay, never
Sure.
mind. That works. Best counterspell in the format. Yeah.
Sure. Like, oh, what do I have? I have 12 mana left? Okay, I was just checking. Yeah,
All right, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Force
fine.
a negation on the path to try and force more interaction out of Evan.
You know, this ad nauseum signals to me that Evan might not yet have the Born Upon the Wind.
Yeah.
Ooh, a Flusterstorm being flashed from Jorman. Thankfully, those All Trades Media mana showing the mana available for Derek. Quite a bit, actually, 4 mana.
Quite a lot.
It's actually quite a bit for getting involved here. Flusterstorm is a good one. I mean, that is a card that I highlighted as like has the potential to be really impactful through this game as the stack gets quite large.
The
Evan's
stack is
better than everybody else's.
big. Fumage, Ranger Captain, Red Blast, Force of Negation, Cyclonic Rift, Ad Nause. I think he
Oh,
can.
he can definitely still pay right now, but I mean, I don't think he wants to. That's a lot of mana to slug through.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to pay quite yet. Oh yeah, here we go. What are we doing here? We can't see how much storm that is. This is just please. Okay, whatever. I guess we're gonna try to count it out. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
11 storm. Can pay. Uses basically all his mana. Probably doesn't want to do that.
Can pay, probably won't.
Yeah, exactly. Can pay, probably won't. I mean, let's think about the stakes though. If this Flusterstorm happens, who cares?
Yeah, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Nothing of value.
Okay, what are you gonna die side? If you pay, you get what, 6? All right, great. I still have a fish. What do we do?
It happens. I don't. Yeah, sometimes that happens.
I'm getting word the audio is breaking down. I have changed nothing and do not have the technical know-how to make any changes. So if our audio is poor, I apologize.
It is a little crunchy. I don't know why.
Like Sparky? Like cackly?
I think it's just me. Hold on.
Okay. A robot.
What about me? Am I a robot?
All right, we're going to work through some technical issues. These players work through some on-board issues. I don't think there's, a lot that's going to happen while we work through these technical issues for you all. A lot of politicking. We see a Chain of Vapor getting involved. Like, they're going to cast spells. Evan's still getting ahead. More technical issues. Gonna maybe cut the commentary down a little bit so we don't blast you with strange audio.
I think we're good now. It's was just a leave and rejoin, and I think we're good.
We're good? All right.
Yep.
We're good. On the fly debugging of some technical issues.
Yep. We got there. When is time called? Well, Justin, never.
Great news for you.
Yeah,
on time.
Never.
You get to sit and watch this as long as you'd like. Or rather, as long as the non-Evan players in this pod would like to continue playing.
Until they stop fighting.
Hate the spot. There is still ways out. Like, your fishes are gone. You're kind of fighting over some stuff. Like, we are in the last hurrah. Like, if it gets back to Evan's turn, we're not going to continue playing this game. That's not going to happen. So, we are in the last turn cycle. Time doesn't really need to be a consideration. Players playing, I think, at a good pace. Talking, politicking. Like I said, it's an arch enemy game. You do need to actually talk because you do actually need that value. We're not talking about nothing. We're talking about what matters. What can we get through here? And the answer is, if you're going to assemble something, it involves everybody. This is a 3v1 that needs to be a 3. They're literally exchanging hands. Like,
Yep.
literally, there's no, this is mask off. It's, what do you have? Let's look at each other's hands. What can we assemble that can start to fight through? Love this from Jorman. If you're going to need your chance at all, and love this from Derek too. Trading hands, looking at each other's hands.
Yeah.
Just actually, no BS. What do you got? What do we have to work with? What is in the mix? What can we even do that matters?
Yeah.
Constantly the question. Yeah, that Chain of Vapor not actually cast, just being shown. Doing maybe some math there with the mana available and how much we can make shake once we start Chain of Vaporing some things. Evan, I believe, gonna want to start putting some pressure on the players to take a game action.
Yeah.
Even though I think there is, you should let them politic. If you're Evan, it's, you know, not just respectful, but more or less required. Like, that is part of what is going on here. But at some point, the game needs to start progressing. And as
even
right
though
now,
we are
not,
untimed.
Yeah, even though you're on time, you are still expected to play per the rules of the game at a reasonable pace of play. Not saying anything, like I said, not saying anything is being maliciously done here. There's not even really anything you can leverage with that. Like I said, untimed rounds. But
certainly not.
at the same time, you know, we can't just sit here all day just talking. We got to actually start making some game actions. You've looked at each other's hand. There's not that much more you need to kind of derive in that angle. So start figuring out the puzzle, or don't. But either way, take a game action. And I think I've been doing a good job of that. I believe there's some discussion, as looks like Derek going to be the first to get involved on this ad nauseum path stack of cards. Pitching. Silas. The Silas that bounced back to the command zone. Little extra value there. Silas. Blue card. Pitches to Force. Draw from Esper Sentinel. Or not Esper Sentinel. Sorry, that has already drawn a card a long time ago. Mystic Remora.
We've reached peak Silas Ren value.
Yeah, it can't get better. It got in, it threatened to block, tapped for mana, pitched to Force. I mean, what more can you want from the card?
Come on. Block the theoretical Timna. Let's go.
Threatening to block. I mean, you didn't really want to attack right into it. This Phantasmal. Remember, the bottom of the stack here is a Phantasmal Image. That is the card that is, at the bottom, that all of this is kind of being done on top of. And, Freedom did a good job Psych Rifting on top, and then now is looking to path the Dockside to get that off of the table. So once again, the stakes are low. If at any point Evan's just like, stack resolves, what happens is entirely Thorne gets a Dockside. That is what happens. That is the stakes.
Yeah.
Ad nauseum's countered, but I mean, how much does that matter when you have 500,000 cards in the end? I think it's kind of a pseudo tutor for Born Upon the Wind. Just actually trying to put a check mark right here on top of this Phantasmal Image.
Just totally fine. Right over the top, yeah.
If you don't have it, also probably totally fine. Like, you're still going to draw cards as these Dockside mana gets spent from Thorne. So you might just still assemble right into it anyway. We'd like to see tap a little, like, crack a few more treasures. Mitigate some of the mana Thorne produces.
Okay, so Evan's Force back.
Ooh,
update.
Force of Will back. Yeah, update. Ian Flannery. Somebody who has been kind of quiet on the TopDeck Championship Series thus far, into the finals with his take on Kennen. Abandoning some of the other brews, I'd say he's played at some previous events. Back to Old Faithful. He has a lot of accomplishments with Kennen. Has won quite literally pieces of power with it. And now in the finals of the largest North American tournament.
So Ian knocking off Zachary Scipione and Caleb Simmons, who were, I think, the top two for quite a while. And Malcolm Beckford, who was number 3 overall going into the top 16.
Yeah, Malcolm Beckford is someone that I kind of think was like more or less a dark horse. I mean, you can't really count him out in any tournament he's in. He's very, very talented. But early in the tournament, took some losses, was kind of beating himself up a little bit. Like, I made some mistakes. I just need to, whatever. I need to get some lunch and, really focus. I don't think I'm making too many mistakes, throwing away wins and stuff. Apparently got some lunch, made it to 3rd seed, and knocked here in the elimination rounds. But still an impressive rally from Malcolm and a good run from him.
Definitely.
Ian, we will be seeing once again in the finals as Jorman finally, after these forces got involved, mostly just noise, to punch way for the Flusterstorm.
Yeah.
And now that Flusterstorm for a little bit more can't be paid for any longer.
Nope.
We're going to see exactly where that goes. Path, ad nauseum, both. Not clear. can just counter one if you want to do that.
Yeah,
Then
Evan
you have to
likely
ask which
saying,
one.
"Name your targets."
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to split it? If you could split it, maybe you pay for one, not the other. Not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see exactly where those are going. Flusterstorm, a hard card to speculate on in any sense. And now it's in the
Yeah, given the current
graveyard.
texture.
Oh boy. Yeah, and here's the ace in the hole for Evan, the his own Flusterstorm.
Yeah,
That one nobody's paying for. That's not happening.
not a
Mindbreak Trap
chance.
needs to be involved or the spell is countered.
Yeah.
Uh,
We've seen Evan's Mindbreak Trap.
yeah, Evan's the only one with the Mindbreak Trap so far.
Yeah.
I don't know why? I don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, Flusterstorm. I mean, there's not a lot of recourse. Either you got your Mindbreak Trap, or a Flusterstorm maybe from Derek. That's really all that can even get involved with Evan's Flusterstorm.
Yeah. It is
And
basically Mindbreak Trap or bust here, I think. And even
I mean,
then, likely
using his
bust.
it looks like bust is the answer, as Flusterstorm does a good job countering all the spells. Stack now ad nauseum, underneath ad nauseum, Path to Exile, underneath
Path
Path
to
to Exile,
Exile.
Phantasmal Image. I would be shocked if this Phantasmal Image resolves at any point in this game, but we shall see.
Nope. I don't think anything is resolving anymore.
If Born Upon the Wind is the bottom card of Freedom Waffles deck, what does that do to this game state?
Uh, annihilates it, but it looks like we're okay. So we've hit Meme
We're
Trail,
nosing.
Diabolic Intent. That's true.
Yeah.
He just producer Alex saying Final Fortune's still available, which is definitely true. Tainted
If we're trying to
Pact.
win on top of this image, oh, there's Force of Negation. That might just be the
That
door and
hurts.
everything. Opposition agent relevant as well. Down to 9. No pressure on the table thanks to a rift. Soul Ring flipped there. 8? Any 8 drops? Don't think there is.
Born in Hand, maybe?
Lotho, Born in Hand would
Lotho.
be gas. Seems content to stop there without thinking too much about it. Not a lot of
Yeah.
math to be done. Pulls Cabal Ritual to the front.
Yeah, because Born in Hand gives you Diabolic Intent for Thoracle plus Tainted Pact. Plus, I mean, like you
Plus
said
health.
before, Ham
Yeah.
Sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just actual ham sandwich. We're flipping again. It's Phantasmal Image. Down to 4
Yeah.
goes Evan. I mean, 4 a little risky, right? Have we been through
I
all of
think
the
we
4 cards?
are in the territory where he's not on the One Ring. So the 4 drops we're worrying about are Mindbreak Trap, which he's already cast, Force of Will, which he's already cast.
Smothering Tithe, he's already
Phyrexian
cast.
Metamorph kills
Okay,
him.
Metamorph is still in there. Yeah. Don't want to die to
Yeah,
anything. No sense losing from a position you're ahead.
yeah,
If there's a single one, I like stopping, and he does choose to stop.
yeah. It's Phyrexian Metamorph is the one.
All right, so if we have Born, I think you want. No, you don't want to do it now because Dockside is bad.
Yeah.
All right. Top of the stack for Path to Exile. All right. I'm down to let the entire stack resolve. And yeah, even if you have Born, now you don't. I mean, if this path works, you don't even need to cast it.
Yeah, why
You have
is it? Well,
Born.
I mean, Bowmasters, the Fimage becomes a Bowmaster if you path your Dockside and then you go to 3. It's
And
like
you stop drawing from Remora, but
yeah, I mean, the question
if
is
you
whether
ever,
someone else can redeploy.
yeah, obviously you could trigger their Bowmaster and like not die to it by just literally any targeting.
Yeah.
But you do have to have something, and not really likely to get a Bowmaster trigger anymore. Is that a window? See, of course, if we do ever
True.
get to Jorman's turn, Crombat, something that to be
Which
considered. Although, once again, I assume this ad nauseum signals intent to either Final Fortune, Born Upon the Wind, those kinds of ilk of cards where Jordan
yeah.
just not going to turn. Cabal
So we are
Ritual is happening
firing off the Cabal,
still
right?
with the Path to Exile on the stack. Nobody cast any spells, so we just got right back to Evan. The table was ready to let Path to Exile resolve, and now instead of letting it resolve, we're Cabal Ritualing.
Yeah,
5
and
black.
so you got 5 black, you got Tainted Pact. Tainted Pact gets you the rest of the way to the Born.
Sure. Mnemonic Betrayal at that point just works, right? And then you just bleh. It's okay, it's Mystical Tutor. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe we just didn't have the Born quite yet. Interesting. Cool, cool, says the table. And it is Born to the top of the library. Did not have it in hand. Obviously, though, way to find it. Also good enough here. Tainted Pact to draw it among other cards. No, not really any Bowmaster, or sorry, any Mystic Remora triggers left to do it. I kind of wonder if maybe we were supposed to do this whole thing with one of the Mystic Remora triggers in the stack, knowing that you can use any of your instant speed tuners, Mystical, Vamp, all those like to make this happen. Unlikely to matter. As here's Tainted Pact, using 2 of the black down to 3 black. Another Storm added. I mean, the table, there's no way they have anything. Where everything was used over this just mostly nonsensical fight. So unless someone's got a real sick one left in the chamber, Derek keeping a Fluxer Storm close to the chest could matter here. I think this is the last opportunity for something to matter. If this Born happens, I think we're done. We're actually done. We've been done for a while, mostly. The 1%er slips away if this Born happens. And it does happen.
Yeah.
Evan, unsurprisingly, talented player, blasting through all the card advantage engines with not only his own Remora, but also Smothering Tithe and Bowmasters in order to near assuredly put himself in the finals here. Already a star-studded cast waiting for him. Some Sauron action waiting for
Some
us.
Sauron, yeah. I mean, how do you defeat the Dark Lord? You
Isn't
can't.
there a whole like multi-part series about how to do that? There's like a whole like it
Yeah, I
outlines
mean,
every
yeah,
step
but
of
do
the
we have any
process.
volcanoes available?
I mean, there's literally so many volcanic islands in play here. Yes.
That is
Yeah,
true.
yeah. We got some volcanoes.
That
We
is
got
true.
volcanoes.
We are positively abreast with
I think we might even
volcanoes.
specifically have Mount Doom somewhere in the mix too, we might have all the tools. Players are revealing cards in the graveyard. I believe this is for Mnemonic Betrayal considerations. Not a lot of mana left to work with, but I don't know how much mana you actually need. We cast Soul
Yeah.
Ring, we have Mox Amber, we have Crow Mox, that pitched Lofo, so that added 4 mana to the mix. No, Mox Amber is not worth anything?
Mox Amber, no legendaries in play?
No legendaries? Okay.
Nice.
No,
Oh,
there's Timna in
there's
play. There's Timna. It's a black white.
there's
Black
Simna,
white
yeah, it's
Mox.
black white. Okay.
It's hidden underneath the other game objects.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
at stacking your game objects territory here. As it is going to be Mnemonic Betrayal. Found mana he was satisfied with.
Mnemonic Patrol here is quite good. I mean, anything is good.
LED. Pretty strong with Mnemonic
Yeah.
Betrayal. And there is one available. No Draneth to contend with any longer. Players fanning out the graveyards. Now, a question. If you can use mana of any type. Can you use Jeweled
Yep.
Lotus mana as a Lotus underneath Mnemonic Betrayal?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah,
I think it's
only
not
yeah.
hyping that's the problem. I think it's an additional condition, but I just want to
Yeah.
check.
Yeah.
Make sure my understanding was aligned. So don't get that one. It is in Jorman's hand anyway. We are going to play the LED as we are further stacking permanents. Just a nice giant pile. Peak board state parsability, although so
Yep.
few cards actually matter.
I
That is
love me
just
some
not really
permanents.
in the menu as Cabal
Another
Ritual.
Cabal ritual. Yeah.
Sure. Now that's going to
Sure,
make
why
5
not?
more black, and we can do just about whatever we want with that mana. What do we want to do? Remember, there's still a Phantasmal Image on the stack. There's still a Path to Exile targeting a Dockside on the stack. We, that could matter. I see a Brain Freeze.
Yep. I see brain freeze.
I think that's a Breach. So we are
That is a
casting
breach. That is
Breach.
the new breach. So
Yeah, that's an Underworld Breach.
yeah.
And that plus
I
this
mean,
Brain Freeze, that's his entire deck.
yeah, that's
Esper
literally his
Sentinel's
entire
been
deck.
triggered by every player.
Has an LED and exile to pay for Thoracle or his own LED or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Ham Sandwich.
Yeah.
Could respond with another Thoracle if he wants by milling the other players.
Has
I
about
mean,
90 counter spells available.
give or take.
Yes, yeah.
We're flush with Ham Sandwich. We're a full Subway restaurant at this point. just flush with sandwiches.
Yeah.
Just have to actually eat the meal.
Rolling
Evan,
12 deep.
content to play with this food a little longer, building the perfect sandwich. Can't blame him. A high stakes scenario. I have messed up some breaches in some high stakes scenarios that were complete check marks. A lot of respect for taking his time. Gets rid of the Esper Sentinel anyway. Dieball content. Get that out of my face.
Give
No,
me that
thank you.
Thoracle, and you've got your Tainted Pact in hand, so.
Take it back to the yard. Use that to draw.
Oh, it's in the yard, okay.
Yeah, use that to draw Born. We have silence, sure.
What? Okay, sure, I
We have
guess.
silence. We are silencing. We'll put you in the dirt. You're going further into the dirt. I don't know how much more assurance you people want, but you're going further in the dirt. Here, have a 1/1. Derek, looking on. We'll fight, I'd say, for Rockside. A tough spot to be the first one. I think the players are done. Yeah,
Yeah,
he described
yep,
exactly what he was
that's
going to
it.
do. Breach after the silence, more than good enough with an LED already involved in the mix. And that is going to do it. And you're going to see Evan Pierce defeating Jorman, who he is behind on the leaderboard right now,
Yep.
advanced to the finals.